Township mourns the death of former Mayor Terry Clayton. Dan Kearns, The Standard. Brock. The Brock Township community is mourning the loss of former Mayor Terry Clayton. On Friday, September 2nd, the township announced Mr. Clayton had passed away due to health complications from a recent surgery. Mr. Clayton served 2 terms as the township's mayor, from 2000 until 2003, and from 2011 until 2014. He also served as the regional councillor and Ward 2 councillor. It is always sad to hear of the passing of a former colleague who had spent so many years working for our township. As a politician, Terry was well known for his involvement in the community. His passion for projects like the walleye fishery in the Beaver River is an example of his dedication to Brock Township. Former Brock Township Mayor and Regional Councillor Larry O'Connor, who served with Mr. Clayton on council during the year 2000 term, told The Standard. In a social media post, former Uxbridge Mayor and Regional Chair Jerry Lynn O'Connor described Mr. Clayton as an outstanding community man and a very loyal leader. I sat with Terry on Regional Council for several years and respected his work ethic along with his sense of humor. May he rest in peace, her post read. Current Regional Councillor and mayoral candidate Ted Smith explained Mr. Clayton always had Brock Township's interest as his top priority. Terry was the mayor during my second term on council. He was never hesitant to take a stand he knew might be unpopular, especially if he felt it would be in the best long-term interest of the township of Brock. Current Ward 3 councillor Walter Schumer agreed Mr. Clayton was a brave leader. My service with Terry during the 2010 to 2014 council term started with his appointment to the position. While not a popular decision for many in our community, Terry accepted the position with humility and service. When a number of people protested the municipal building in Cannington on the day he would be officially appointed, Terry made a point of speaking directly with the protesters, and that showed some dedication and class. When developers came to Beaverton to propose a controversial swap of land for a hotel condominium and public pool, Terry knew the issue could be one the community would question, but he did not shy away from the discussion because he felt it could be of benefit to the community. That decision would likely end up costing Terry the 2014 election, but he would not shy away from what was his responsibility to investigate such a possibility in the interest of his community. Terry always spoke directly and without reservation on issues, and I respected him for that. Brock Township is flying their flags at half-mast to mark this loss. A visitation was held at Beacon Presbyterian Church in Beaverton on Thursday, September 8th, and a funeral service was held on Friday, September 9th.
Record tie in Blueberry Pie Contest. Sarah Puckrin, special to The Standard. Scugog. We have never had a tie in the contest history, so this year was a real nail-biter, as our judges were deadlocked in their choice for best pie until a different last-minute donor reached out to offer a second $1,000 prize. The judges were Christy Stone, the owner of Piano Cafe, and Tanya Prodanovic of Culinary Contessa Catering Co. They are both local business owners, and both are graduates of George Brown College Culinary School, one of the top chef schools in Canada. The judges rated the pies based on overall appearance, pastry consistency and flavor, and consistency of the filling. We had a total of 15 entries, and entrants ranged in age from approximately 12 years old to 60 years old. Our record number of entries happened in 2019 with 40 entries. Interestingly, one of our first prize winners, Taylor Dallas, is the son of third-place winner Daryl Dallas. Our first-place winner was Stephen Ardron. Both first-place winners have entered in previous men's baking competitions at the Port Perry Fair, but this was their first win. The contest purpose is to get men involved in a competition which may not normally be seen as the domain of men in a fun, friendly way. One of our contestants, who had placed in this year's competition, later shared, as a man who had never done any baking before, he felt more comfortable entering the contest knowing he was competing against other contestants who may also have been quite novice in their baking abilities. He was also proud to share with his young son the idea of challenging yourself and stepping outside your comfort zone, and how it can be a really rewarding growth experience, which perfectly captures the spirit of the competition. During the judging, the Outback Cloggers performed on the second stage in the entertainment shelter to keep things lively while the judges really took their time to evaluate each entry. The judges were very thorough, so it was a lengthy process, but the audience was patient, even though they were very clearly eager to hear the contest results and to sample the pies. All pies, except the winners, which went to the anonymous donors, were sliced up and served to the crowd when the competition was finished. This is the highlight of the competition and really helps to keep the audience involved and invested in the proceedings. We plan to repeat this competition next year. We have another sponsor who has stepped forward to get another competition going for women's baking, with its own $1,000 prize in 2023. All details will be available on the Port Perry Fair website next year, when information becomes available for the 2023 fair. MSIFN shares their sorrow after tragedy at James Smith Cree Nation. Dan Kearns, The Standard. Scugog. The Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, MSIFN, have issued a statement following the tragedy at James Smith Cree Nation. This First Nation, located in Saskatchewan, was recently impacted by a mass stabbing incident, in which reportedly 10 people died and 18 were wounded. Both suspects have since died. On behalf of the members of Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, our council extends its deepest condolences to the families and community of the victims of the senseless tragedy in James Smith Cree Nation, and offers our support to those who were injured, the statement read. Our First Nation joins communities in Saskatchewan and beyond in honoring the memory of those who were lost, and offers our strength and support to their relatives. MSIFN will stand with members of James Smith Cree Nation as it seeks answers and a way forward in the weeks and months to come. The statement also urged impacted communities to remain vigilant. Township bestows honor on resident Pat Higgins. Colleen Baskin, Township of Uxbridge. Uxbridge. The Township of Uxbridge is pleased to announce it has bestowed the Order of Uxbridge to local resident Pat Higgins. The honor was bestowed at the Uxbridge Fall Fair on Saturday, September 10th, and Mr. Higgins was the inaugural recipient of the honor. The Order of Uxbridge was created to recognize citizens who have demonstrated exceptional commitment to the community over a number of years. Mr. Higgins's long-term service to the community inspired the award. Council unanimously endorsed Mr. Higgins as the inaugural recipient. In presenting the award, Mayor Barton noted Mr. Higgins had been a major supporter and volunteer in the community for over 24 years. He was thanked for his commitment to affordable recreation and community development through the Canadian Tire Jumpstart charity. Mr. Higgins founded the Huck Finn fishing event and has organized it for 20 years. He is part of the annual Christmas toy drive and sat on the board of the Uxbridge Hospital. His significant support of local service clubs and groups such as Precious Minds has enabled their success. The honor is part of a larger volunteer and civic recognition system, which will be presented to the next term of council for approval in late autumn. The township has created the Order of Uxbridge as the superlative honor the municipality can bestow upon an individual to honor those who make extraordinary contributions to the community. In the future, the township has prepared eligibility criteria and a nomination and review process to identify future individuals who will be appointed to the Order of Uxbridge. For more information about the Order of Uxbridge, visit www.uxbridge.ca.
The Heart of a Child. I'm sitting here in my living room at home after watching program after program reporting on the passing of our wonderful lady, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and of her other realms and territories, Queen, Head of the Commonwealth, Defender of the Faith. This was her full official title. The Commonwealth. Besides England, it includes Canada and 52 other countries. The faith involves Christ, as she, as Queen, became the head of the Church of England. Coronated at Westminster Abbey, her role then involved the appointing of archbishops, bishops, and deans in regard to church structure. Her role in the imagination of a young boy was to help the whole world. I remember standing in classroom early each morning, singing to God to save our noble, gracious Queen, asking for long life for her. The words go, "Send her victorious." I sang them with full gusto, but as we do so often as children, I got the words wrong. Yet, in my desire to stay true to the obvious theme of God Save the Queen, I sang the words, "Send her victorious," which meant to me she was in the middle of settling all disputes and struggles and resolving them all so we could enjoy lives of peace. As the words to the Commonwealth Anthem continue, I concluded, if she was happy and glorious, then to my young heart, this meant we must be a source of joy to her as her subjects, and she, through her smile back at us, was sharing that glorious happiness with us. What a wonderful lady and friend! So the desire to want her to reign over us for a long time, as the words indicate, was a natural overflowing desire and a good thing to sing to God on her behalf each morning. Firstly, each school day we would pray our Lord's Prayer, and then we would sing God Save the Queen, and then lastly, but for sure, O Canada, which always indicated order of preeminence. As far as O Canada, I figured the reason we were glorious and free, even though we asked God to keep our land that way, was because, besides what he did directly, invisibly, and intimately, the noble Queen did through her governance at his bidding. I always knew instinctively she was also at service, under God, as his agent. As adults, of course, we realize her humanity also. As that young boy, I felt she could take care of us, kind of like a warm grandmother. If I ever met her, I thought to myself, I'm sure she would give me a hug. She has children of her own, and would be motherly. As it turns out, this was so. She was fiercely dedicated to the idea of family. Yet as she saw the need for us in the Commonwealth, she eventually allowed greater transparency in the royal family so they could be related to more easily. I was destroyed when we stopped praying the Lord's Prayer and singing God Save the Queen in school. I became very disappointed in our country for allowing this. This was my first political decision in my life, although I had no idea what politics was at that age. I remember missing this devotional event every morning for most of my public school life, and even somehow, hopefully, expected to experience it again when we moved to the Port Perry area and I entered the school system here. My hope was it was only a local choice, but sadly, this wasn't so. I never knew there were actually 5 verses to the anthem, which further indicate the heart of prayer for her keeping and guidance. Is it any wonder when we took the Lord's Prayer out of school and stopped singing this anthem prayer for the Queen, Canada came under such confusion and struggle as a nation? Just look at the timing of events in our history. It's no wonder we have such political division when not acknowledging our God and the sovereign through which he can work, at least in the capacity this trickle-down authority is given by him for. Once turned from, it can never be filled by human hubris and its structures. This can only be met by ordained humble obedience, and this was Her Majesty's determined choice. She understood this was her priority over all others. Now that's the kind of person I can eagerly pray for. But now, let's pray, God Save the King.
The Standard Podcast was produced by Greenstream Studio for the Standard newspaper.